Welcome traders to our post-week market review. So jumping straight into things here from where the market opened up, which is with this candlestick right here. So as you can see, price originally opened up in a bearish fashion, eventually finding support at around the level of 3,630, which was in fact the bottom side support of this consolidation after price created that most recent all-time high at around 3,675. So this was the last test of this level, and then as you can see, price started to consolidate. We then entered closer and closer to that New York session, which then drove price all the way up to 3,685, which was the most recent all-time high in comparison to this level here. And then again, throughout the Asian session, some consolidation, just some noise within the markets. And then throughout the London session, we then saw price climb again. And then we saw price continue up one more time throughout the New York session, which is the most recent all-time high at 3,703. From there, then you can see price just sort of moving down, creating higher highs and higher lows. Obviously, you do have this big candlestick here, which does technically create the most recent all-time high as of now at 3,707. However, this was due to the fact that we had FOMC on Wednesday. So if you don't understand what or know what FOMC is, it's a very, very large economic news event that injects an enormous amount of volatility and volume within the markets. Obviously, as you can see, price drove up to 3,707, and then price drove itself all the way down to 3,645. So we're talking over 600 pips in the space of 1 hour. So we're not going to take that into account as the most recent all-time high, as it isn't normal price action. Technically it is, but just for the sake of technical analysis and trading, we're going to just sort of ignore that. So carrying on then, as you can see, price started to drop lower and lower, and then we found this sort of main level of support at around 3,645. Price then throughout the last hours of the Asian session started to push itself up to that 365 level. Sorry, 55 level, and then throughout the London session we saw some more consolidation. The interesting thing here is price came down to test this sort of cluster of support one more time before price then drove itself all the way up to where it has finished at 3,684.59. Just to make this a little bit clearer, I'll go ahead and put this in a white. So as you can see, overall conclusion for gold this week, gold has created a new all-time high, the most recent all-time high at 3,703, and then since Tuesday we saw a bearish week for gold until we saw price on the Friday throughout the New York session with the help of some, I believe it was CPI data news, and we saw price drive itself back up. So with that all being said, there's going to be a couple levels now that I'd like to mark in, and I say a couple, this is going to be just the level that I want to mark in here, and I will explain why I am doing so. So as you can see, this level here, we saw first to create a resistance at this level, and then we saw price test at this level as a support, and then we saw price test at this level as a resistance. So the interesting thing about this right now is we are seeing price come close to this level. So what we're going to be looking for on Monday open is how price reacts to this level of around 3,688, give or take. So there's a couple scenarios that could happen. So we could see price rise to this level and then drop itself back down, entering in within this consolidation range that we saw for the previous week, or we could potentially see price completely break through this level and creating a new all-time high. So there's a lot of things that we could potentially see next week for gold, but I will say this, the most probable thing that we're going to see for gold this week is going to be a new all-time high, just based on the fact that the Friday has completely wiped out, let's say, all of the data since Wednesday. So within one day, within one session, throughout the New York session, we have seen an enormous amount of buyers buying volume, and it's just completely wiped out data of sort of before and anything from Wednesday and Thursday, completely wiped out just on that New York session on Friday. So based on that and based on the current price action that we are seeing, it's inevitable that price is probably going to break through this level, especially the way the market finished last week. However, as you know, there's always going to be some sort of divergence. For example, we can see it here. So as the market opened up, we saw this continuation of this slight bearish momentum, and then the market sort of picked its pace up throughout that Asian session and then into the London session throughout to the New York, and then done what it wanted to actually do. So there's a couple of things we could potentially see. So for example, I will actually mark in one more level here where we could see price reject off. The reason I'm marking in this level is because we can see price testing at this level multiple times as a support and resistance. So indicating to us that this is definitely going to be a significant psychological level that we want to take into account for our trading. So again, what we could potentially see is prices obviously came up to this level here. We could see price come to this level here, reject off, drop back down, and then push up to create a new all-time high. So there's a lot of things that could happen next week, but I think the overall bias for most people that are doing technical analysis for the week coming, I think it's going to be, the overall conclusion is going to be the price is probably going to create a new all-time high, and we probably will see gold trade within that comfortable level of above 3,700. So that's going to be pretty much it for our post-week market review. So I'll conclude everything again. So since the start of week, we have seen bullish momentum. Price created a new all-time high at 3,703. And then since the New York session on Tuesday, price was bearish until we then saw that change of structure and that overall bias flip with price on the New York throughout the New York session on the Friday. So what we're potentially going to see for Monday open and throughout the next coming week is bullish momentum for gold. We probably will see price break through that all-time high of 3,703, create a higher low, and then continue on bullish. However, there is definitely the possibility that we see price react to this same resistance level of 3,688 and then continue on bearish. So that's going to be that for our post-week market review. As always, I hope you have all enjoyed. Remember, if you don't have a challenge with us, visit us at goldfunding.io. Click get started and you will see all of our challenges along with their prices. I believe we are running a 35% discount right now, so make sure you take advantage of that. So yeah, that's going to be our post-week market review. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.